memories you have of Illanmore, do you think, Tommy? What are your first memories of Illanmore?
Well, I suppose I'd say 82 or 83 anyhow.
Yeah.
I'd say I was 3 or 4 years anyhow, I suppose, when I could think much of the village.
Yeah.
But I think of all those people that was in it and everything, but them days are gone.
Yeah.
I'm losing never now.
But there was a lot of old houses. There was a lot of houses.
There was
Yeah.
a lot of houses and a lot of people in them.
Yeah.
Some good ones and some bad ones too.
How much land did everybody, did the average person have?
Well, to them all they had before the land was divided. 4 and 5 acres. Some of them down to 2 or 2.5.
Yeah.
Sweeney that was down here, the lots of us in them. They're all gone out to it now. He had only 2.5 acres when he got married.
Yeah.
Built a house in. He reared 9 family in it. There's only 3 of them alive today.
Yeah. Well, now, in that amount of land now, what did they keep mostly? Well, did they have a cow or sheep or what?
Oh, they had a cow.
They'd have one cow.
They had 1 cow.
Yeah.
And they couldn't afford, I suppose, to have the second one at that time.
The fields over there now, say the new road wasn't there at all then?
No.
The new road, no.
No, there was no road out there at all that time. It was all belonged to Captain Blake. But he was a good landlord. Anytime ever he'd come for the rent of them.
Yeah.
And he'd give them the price of a quarter barrel of porter.
Oh yeah. How often would that be? Once a year?
Once a year he'd come for it.
Yeah.
And to let into a house one time, another time they wouldn't let it in. It was like out there on the road side.
Why was that?
Huh?
Why was that?
I don't know, but I know that I remember the big stone there, the clock hole we used to call it. And the quarter barrel was right there, and the lots of us in John McTighe, he went into Jarvis. Charles' grandfather now.
Yeah.
And Johnny used to say, I drank so much Sean, he said, because there was a damn fool. They started appearing in Mayo then. The first one I think was 2nd of September. And so we're going on then. There'll be one a couple of months later. And the October fair was the biggest fair of the year. All the few sheep they had, that's the way they'd bring out their lambs to sell them. And if they wasn't sold in Kilmaine, there was one back in the Nail, the November fair, they'd bring them back there to try and finish out because they couldn't hold them on for the winter. They hadn't enough of ground or enough of feeding for them.
What kind of price would you get for lambs that time?
Oh, I sold them for 9 shillings below in Ballinrobe. And I was down in Ballinrobe another market day with carter bonnets, and I couldn't get in a man to buy a bonnet from me the same day, but one man, 19 shillings for the bonnet. Some of the times we had now long ago.
Well, we usually get up around drawn 8 o'clock, I suppose. That was in our young days. We don't get up now at that time. Yeah, we had on later because we aren't able to get up now. But, put down a fire, get the kettle on, make the tea, make the breakfast and get the kids off to school. Then the work was start, milking cows and feeding calves, and of course we had help with that too.
And what about the hens?
The hens, ducks and everything else. Then later on the day, might do some sewing and get a dinner ready then.
That's another tailor there, you know.
No. Get dinner ready again for scholars, and the evening you come along then and bring in the cows for milking, the same thing all over again. So it was a long day. Once we get up in the morning, we go to bed at night, and there was no time for resting or anything. So there wasn't.
There was so much matchmaking, you know, years ago, 20s and 30s.
How did this end up?
And two neighbours like it, bring them together, I suppose, and see if they like each other. And then there'd be a day set for the dowry, and after that the day was set for the wedding.
How much would the dowry be then?
Oh, well, it's a bit different, I suppose, no. Maybe some would have 200 and more or less, you know. Depends on the...
Was that an awful lot of money at that time? It was, sure.
Oh, yes, it was. It was.
Well, that put in now, if I say anything...
That now was in the 1930s, I
Right.
would say, that I know about. And then the day of the wedding, the best man, the groom, he'd take the best man and some friends with him, he's an unmarried woman, to the bride's house. They'd have a party there for a while, and then towards the evening they'd go to the church and get married. And then after that they'd go to the man's house and have the wedding there that night. And if she was going in the door, they'd put the wedding cake on her head.
Why on her head?
Don't ask me, you know why, but that was a custom.
As she was going in the door?
Yeah. Someone would put the wedding cake on her head. And then after that, some would have dinner or maybe sandwiches and tea. And to go on like that with plenty of drinking, eating and dancing and music until daylight in the morning.
Would they have the likes of a half barrel or whatever?
Oh yeah.
And who would supply that?
The man at the house.
Yeah, but it would come from Kilmaine, is it? Or?
Well, probably Kilmaine or Cross or anywhere. You know, whatever direction the wedding would be.
Right.
And
Would there be any honeymoon then for them?
oh, no honeymoon at that time, but the bride wouldn't go home for a month after.
The honeymoon was to go to bed.
No, why not? Why wouldn't the bride go home for a month?
And I don't know that now, that was another custom.
The month's visit, they used to call that.
Yeah.
The month's
A
visit.
month's visit. She wouldn't go into her own house, into her parents' house after the month, you know.
Well, would she meet them at mess or?
Oh, she would. Or meet them maybe somewhere outside, but they wouldn't go into the house. Or she wouldn't. The tailors, the people that want a suit made to bring in the material to them. And they'd take their measure and put it out then and sew it. And if they had to go away, like if the people were too far away, that's what they do, is to go and stay in the village for the week or two, whatever length they be, that they get someone to do.
So by hand.
Would the tailors be men or women?
The two men.
And who were they around here in this
Well,
village?
one was Stephen Shaughnessy and the other was Michael Doherty. They were in this village.
Would they have land in as well, or?
No, well, Michael Doherty had, but well, Stephen had, but it was a brother like that had it. He wasn't doing anything with the land, because he wasn't able.
But basically that was their livelihood.
Yeah, that was their livelihood, the tailors. And they used to, when they'd be staying in the house, of course, they'd play tricks on each other. One of them would tell the lady of the house, said, "This man now, he likes his egg boiled hard." And of course he didn't like it boiled hard. So the next thing I know, if he went outside anytime during the day, this man had put the scissors hiding on him, and when he'd come in, he started like this looking for the scissors.
Because he was
And
blind.
the man had told the woman at the house, when you see him doing that now, he says, get some cold water and throw it on him. And she did. There was nothing wrong with the man down, but looking for the scissors.
Tell me, when you were going to school, could you tell me who taught you, and were they hair teachers, or did you get flaked at school?
Well, no, honest. The last time I seen our Mr. Tierney, he wasn't too bad. But the only thing that it caused a bit of trouble is that something out of the pair during the day before that. If he didn't get on good, he'd have more or less revenge on the scholars the next day. But otherwise he was said no. But Tierney's daughter then, the last time I seen them all, they're all gone. Maud, she was teaching while in the classroom. There was another one before that. She was butler from Carmaculic. She married a guard in Guard
They're all a two family, I think.
McMahon, is it?
Yes.
Guard McMahon, she married in. And she was cranking up too. But worse than all, out in the women's class, there was a teacher and she was back from Durai, behind Kilmaine. She was a devil altogether. Miss Mackin, she was on a contrary, I believe. But times have changed now. They're not slapping around to now. So a couple of neighbours will come and catch the pig. Maybe throw her up on the cart, you see. Butcher it, give her the stab. There'll be another one holding a bucket for the blood. And the blood was brought in then to the woman of the house. And the pig was opened then, and it was taken out.
If you scalded first and the hair taken off.
And that was the trouble, cleaning the guts and everything. And the next night then, the butcher come again, cut her up. She brought in the table, butcher cut her up, take out the bones, put the meat into the barrel,
Meat.
leave it there,
With salt,
Maybe.
when there was salt, you would put
out of it salted, leave it there then for 3 or 4 weeks, you know, before you touch it, except the little scraps that was after the pig. Hang it up then over the fire and leave it there to be as hard as you could handle cut it with a knife, with the drying, you know. The pudding of it, everyone in the village,
Well, the woman of the house would have to make the puddings and
It gets
fry them, you know.
when you out the pudding and give it to the neighbour's house, and some of them would get a bit too greasy and more of them wouldn't. They'd have to do without it.
Favourites.
But that was the job.
And then next neighbour killed the pig then, the same thing would be doing, you know, and you get back the meat again, you know, the pudding.
Mary, had you children?
I had 4.
Did you find it hard?
Oh yes, I did. Although I had great help, you know.
Right.
Yes, I had great help. But of course, like that, you know, there was no one, I didn't go to the doctor or anything, you know, like when the baby was on the way or anything. Not until it was going to be born, when he was going to labour, then that he'd go to Kong for a doctor. And after he come, the doctor said, he didn't tell me anything about this baby coming along at all. The babies came along all right. Oh, wait in bed then for a week, and then it was a great holiday too to wait in bed for a while, yeah. So it was. We didn't have anything we were doing, but as women would come in and help out and do everything, you could take it easy in bed. But the work was all there then again when you get home. For now, it was all there again.
Then it was.
Okay. In this day and age, you have nappies and, you know, disposable nappies and whatever. How did you manage that time with?
Piece of old sheets and old shirts and everything. Tailors and shirts and everything. What was true for me?
I know, what's wrong with
Yes, you had a few years of toweling. Yes. But as for the ready-made napkins, I think that was a question altogether.
That was.
Yes. And the clothes too. There wasn't good clothes that time for a baby, you know, those long old dresses and plenty of flannels on them and everything. It wasn't like now.
But I'm sure you use that
Yeah, so there was
hand-me-downs and...
Yes, and there was no plastic pants or anything like that time. No. So there wasn't. Still, they got on all right, mind you. They did.
How did you cook?
An open fire. An open fire. And bake the bread too on the open fire. Boil the big pot, and you'd have plenty of cinders then after the fire, put the big pot of potatoes and turnips and everything from pigs. And there were plenty of cinders then to bake the cake. Maybe cake every day anyhow. And make butter with the churner because of the cream. That time there was no separator. I hadn't done a separator anyhow. Yes, and skimmed the cream then off the base of the milk, you know, into another basin until it had enough for the churner. Do the churner, then take out the butter and wash it and put salt in it and everything. Yeah.
Cycle over to the bag.
Yeah,
In the day of cutting, some wants to spread it from you. Have a drop of tea at dinner time. A couple of slices of bread. Another round again in the evening. Leave the bag around between 7 and 8 o'clock in the evening and come home. There was no such thing as a pint on our way home that time. Next day again the same thing. Put it in after a week of passing it. Turn around again, turn it again. That's wheel it out. Bring it home with the horse and cart. Often I was at home at 10 o'clock in the morning after bringing the cribbage up from the bag. I remember my father had a lot of us in him to call me one night, and I had a cousin with me in the same room, and we didn't know what time was it. We got the two carts ready and went to the bag, and we filled the road of turf, and there was a bad old spot in it, and we were afraid to come out till we get daylight. We were home in Illanmore again around 9 or 10 o'clock. Go for a second one then. Now, there's no one bringing it. That time, coming from the bag, to be like a day of funeral with all the cats, donkey cats and horse cats, they'd be in the road, coming from the bag. There were no cars, no tractors. Some people had bicycles and a lot hadn't. There were hard times, but we overcome them. But there were 6 boys in our family and 3 girls. So there's only 3 of us alive now. Myself and my brother. and one sister. And all the rest, 2 of them was in America and died in America. 2 more was in England and they died in England. They were both, the 4 of them were married, but they're dead and gone. But
No, that much is that. That's that now.
I think I have no more to tell you.
You're doing very well, Tommy.
Time
Is it Tom or Tommy?
to go going home.
Tommy.
I can remember I used to have a lot of bunions on my feet, and I'd come into Mrs. McMahon, and I was always well looked after, and I always made sure that, well, that they were worse than what they were, because I had a cousin at the time that used to take me to school on the carrier of the bike, and from Imra they used to call me, the kids used to call me Cosbocca or something like that. So. Well, that was my only one really of my early years, you know. So.
Into Mrs. McMahon. She was lived in Kermaculic. And she was nice, you know. It was the first day, like, you know, and she got us tempered in, I suppose, in the school. But I remember she given us that moral they used to have for, it was like, yeah, it was like putty, in other words. And she told me anyhow, I remember, to make something with it, you know, anything I liked to make. So I made a little fat woman. And as I was making it, I was looking up at her. And she came down to me, she said, "Good boy," she said, "who was that? What description is that of?" And I said, "'Tis of you." And I know she pulled me at about 6 inches.
I didn't mind going to school, God knows. I had a brain, and I was using it. And also I was packing stuff into it.
Have you any single day that stands out to you as the happiest day or ever, as a really happy day in school? Any event that happened during your school days that you single out as being an outstanding happy day?
Well, I don't know, would I call it happy now, or I felt proud of it. The primary cert that time used to take place. And, of course, I came first. But for one thing, I wasn't able to see. Mr. Fahy was here too. He was a very nice man, all right. But if we don't enter around going home from school, then like the teacher just flogged the daylight out of it. He'd never inquired like were you right or wrong or who done it. And he'd say there was always something done wrong. Except we couldn't, because we had land along the road and the boss might be there. And whatever about the teacher missing something, he missed nothing.
We had happy days here and in the Holy Communion, I remember, when we received our first Holy Communion. And Miss Regan, she had sweets for us. I remember that. It was here in the school we received our first Holy Communion. Yeah, it was.
Would that have been the general thing? To have the first Holy Communion in the school before the church year?
Yeah, it was, yeah, here. It was our first Holy Communion received here. And we were brought out to this room here, I remember. And I remember another day, it was a very happy incident for me here in the school. There was an examination on, and the front row seats were there. It was one seat, and the front row was examined. Second row the front row had to go right back to the back. The second row moved up, and I was in the second row, I remember, and I moved off at the first row. And I remember the teacher, Mr. Waters, at the time, he lamped it. But he didn't pretend. But he did give me an examination after it, like when the inspector went, like. And that was some examination, I tell you.
I remember Miss Helen Tom Waters. He gave us some one day. It was a bit of a puzzle now. But he had it up on the board, and whoever would be up first. But I know I was kind of slow. But a few Geralds went up, but wrong. But I went up at last. I had the right answer, but he wouldn't allow it. I went the wrong way around it. Oh, yeah. But by gosh, all right enough, he had the same answer. But yet he had to come to the conclusion that I was right.
Yeah.
But mind you, right enough, his way was the best. Do you know, it was shorter.
Do you remember inspector's visits?
Oh, I do. Well, because we used to be going for that Dauntish that time. And we were brought in the classroom and examined. So the youngest brother I had, he wasn't very bright. No, I must admit, even though he's not trained, he took no interest and he was spoiled at home. But we used to be trying to learn with the Irish, my mother, like when she was sitting down milking the cow, playing a bow, and from the cow anyhow, by chewing the cud like Congal and all, even the name of weeds, loho, well, that's all we ever heard at home was the loho anyhow. But anyhow, the inspector was at him, you know, he was talking in Irish. And for your mother, he said, it's doing this, what she should be doing, you know, but it was Irish. And he said, Congal that she used to be chewing the cud. He got going with it. He knew he had it heard right anyhow, even though it was walloped into him. But the first day at school, I remember I was led into Miss Regent's classroom, and she had welcome for me. Tommy had been with the hand. She gave me the lump of mortar like what you got, and I felt happy enough. I was always watching the lunch to come because my mother had the curtain cake made for the first day. And I felt a bit greedy about it. John Dinny was a big fella, the Lord of mercy on him, and he was in the same room. But who let out it played in, that was the custom that time. Everyone had gathered up to see the new one. And of course I had a good back around me. No one could interfere.
I remember one day I had 2 pennies, and I said I'm going to start a bit of you'd call it a lotto, I suppose. And I went pitching outside the window there, and Mr. Waters looked out the window, and he had a good look to see what I was on, what new game I'd come up to, and he just tapped and called me and come in, you cod dog, he said. So I brought him right in here, and he carried out his own investigation. And he was judge, jury and the lot himself. And he told me that definitely I'd end up a gambler. He said there was no hope for me. He said what I was starting off in life. And I never took up gambling now, as a matter of fact. But maybe that stuck in my brain, but I don't think it did, like, because the lotto will is right. And
did you have football in the school? Did you have an actual...
We had a ball, but we used to have to keep it hid. Why, I don't know. I just kind of, I often tried to find out why we had to hide the ball. We used to hide the ball back to the field there.
Was it a leather ball?
A leather ball, yeah, and a pig's bladder. Yeah, we used to have to make our own the bladder for it, like, you know.
Tom never took any interest, Tom.
No, he never took interest in football.
But,
he had his own interest.
O'Malley and Fat did, but
yeah.
what we'd have to do, like, is going to Pat Sullivan's field, Kynes. We couldn't go to big Welches.
Oh, no.
Tom Shock was his forge. That was, we'd drop in like if we was making a shower or anything like that, but this evening there was a tinker man showing his horse. And it was a fine evening, I remember now, and a warm evening, but I think that John should, whoever he had working anyhow, they was showing the horse, and Tom was there and the tinker man talking, but the man's wife, the tinker woman, and oh God, there was 3 or 4 great strapping lads, and there was girls, but there the meet started. And I don't know how now did it come to fight anyhow, but John was the biggest of us. But the ring was made. And Tom Shock was the referee then.
The blacksmith.
Yes. I was all right too, I was sport anyhow.
But he would go to hammer.
But anyhow, and one was given enough to the other for a good while. But at long last, John or Jack, whatever we call, we got a good belt in the mouth of the thing. There was blood all over. So Tom Shock was called out the fight.
From 9:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock, I remember it used to be prayer in the morning. And there'd be a break in about 15 minutes, about 10 to 10:15. You'd be let outside in the yard. And again, from about 11:15 until 12 o'clock, it would be, you'd be writing Irish poems and compositions. You'd be writing them in Irish. From Andrew O'Malley was very good, the late Andrew O'Malley from Kilmina.
In them days, I don't know the teachers get on too good, like, because I've seen ye here, and ye all together having conversations, but I never seen that in my time. The 3 teachers having a conversation together. Never, I have to say that, like, you know. But that was the times then, like, you know. But the master of the school, like, he seems to have a problem about noise, you know. There's birds, anything at all like that, you know, used to cause an uproar in the school here, like, you know. We had to go out stoning them. You know, even the middle of class, or lessons and anything like that, you know, we'd have to go out pelting the stones after the birds. Vermin he used to call them. Yeah, there was a turf shed here in the 50s. And as the fire were going down in Mayo, he'd have to go out for a set of turf. So he'd play around outside there, he'd stand out to the door. And after about a half an hour, the master would miss him, Tom Waters. And I remember one day, he made a chair to the door there to open the door to go out after him. And the man was standing outside with a couple of sads in his hand, and he was up against the door and he was falling asleep, and he fell in the door. Oh, he lost that job anyhow, I remember. He was still the caretaker.
50 and 51. I remember we Mayo played Louth in 50 and Meath in 51. And I remember Joe Gilvara that day, and he was playing left half forward, I think, from Mayo, scoring 2 goals. He'd done when he scored 2 goals before, you know.
The Sam Maguire Cup was in Shrule in Craddock's on the window. Sean Flanagan was captain, 51, John Joe, isn't that right? Yeah, that's right. he used to win the cup to Jack Craddock for 1 week. And Jack when we used to go to school in the evening, Jack would give us the cup, every one of us, and we carried in our bicycle up to the bridge, but we couldn't cross the bridge to go into Galway with it. We had to turn back again. He used to leave out a curse of commoners if we crossed the bridge. And we'd leave it back again to him into the shop, and we'd get it in turns, the cup off him.
Now, the memory I have of 51 is a bear belonging to my younger sister, about, I suppose, 1.5 foot long, that we dressed up in Mayo colours. I was helped, I'm sure, to knit a green and red jersey, and Mom made a pair of togs for him, and we made even socks. And then a little white square was put on his back, and number 4 put on it. And my memory of it was bringing the bear to school, and the teachers being amused and not surprised at number 4, because our household was politically the way of Sean Flanagan, and that was his number. So that's my memory of it, really. Pádraig Igo's father, he was an old man in Killernan, and used to wear a hard hat, and he used to come to our house to listen to the matches on the radio when you had those batteries that you'd carry, whatever you call them. And I can remember that on a Sunday, because we had the only radio around at the time. And I remember him being so much part of Micheál O'Hare's commentaries.
And Joe Butler used to bring us to matches in the back of the truck too, I remember that time. Isn't that right, Matt? And I think it was 2 shillings or a half crown each charge to bring us to a match anywhere in the lorry. And he'd have about 60 in the back of the truck. So he used to have.
Well, you'll cork with the sling, I would they were deadly. You'd put a stone out from here to top on the car. Oh, you would. And some of them had very accurate shots. I remember Jim Rogers had one. And John Cameron.
If you had distance with that, would you get accuracy with it? Would you be accurate?
And what you would be fair enough. Needless to say now I wasn't. Or I hardly ever used it. I got it home either, you know. The punishment was middling severe. And
how did you make the sling?
the tongue of a shoe or a bit of leather, put a hole like an 18th and strings din up from that and put the stone in that and swing and let it off. Oh yes, you get very expert at it. But the target, like maybe it wanted a middling beak. It was like Hitler with the V-bombs. You wanted the whole city. But most it was competition who'd put it the farthest. And that's right, John Kavanagh got it out in the yard one time. And Tom Rogers would got with the sling. I forget what teacher, but I know Miss Regan was in it anyhow. She had bandaged him up, and I think he was let go. But there was no doctor, I think, later around the time. But Mick Welch had to get the doctor. I thought it was the only lad they had. God, but with the day Miss Regan, like, was asking the pupils what ties had they. But she was asking the girls had they a ball book. And they said they had it. What do you call him? One said, Mikey. Well, he's a fine big ball book, she said. So Mikey was as many as big as what he is today.
It was a great sport, raiding apple gardens that time, like, you know. I know Will Ryan's over here, Lord rest him. There was several shots fired at lads. But he never meant, like, you know, he never took aim at a body, like, it's into the air he always fired, like, you know. But if you asked him for an apple, he'd give you plenty of apples, like, you know, or any of the mood, like. I remember going back to Hyland's apple garden one night in Ballabriskin, and they had beautiful apples outside the window. And Paddy Hyland, Lord rest him, we waited till they were saying the rosary. And they had a lovely apple tree in front of the window, and it was about maybe 20 apples in it, and there were beautiful bats, and they were beautiful apples. I'm almost sure they were beautiful bats. And two went in anyhow, and we were no sooner were in, and the rose was on, and Gerald Murphy was in it, I remember, and the rock was put up and have to galvanise. And about 2 minutes later, there was nothing but he must empty a box of cartridges, and there was about 20 in it the same night. And that was the type of fun, like, you know.
The rain, because you'd make a few bob, but it was errant.
How do you mean it was errant?
You'd have to walk, and the road's bad, and you'd be dressed up in a paper rags where no one would know you. Got tuppence in the house, you were doing good. Fourpence was very good, but very few houses would let you off empty. And sometimes they mightn't have the change. You'd be very lucky if you got the bob. But it was for the want to change more than anything else.
So at the end of the day, what would you have made?
You might have a pound, but you'd do very good if you had now, and they'd be always two together, like.
A pound?
Yes.
You don't know if it's sort of walking for a pound. You'd be out from 9 o'clock till 9 anyway, and walking all the time.
You would have the real bird.
Oh yeah, yeah. And nobody'd know it, like on the thatched house the night before with a lamp. You'd be asleep there and catch him, yeah.
We used to catch the rain above in Joe Murphy's in Bellabacca. And Brennan, that was all thatched houses, last thatched house in Bellabacca. And we catched the rain. And I remember now, that in the 50s, we collected up to £2. But the house didn't be any relation. You'd make sure you'd be known in that house. You'd let yourself known. You'd pull off the false face. And I remember above in old Mike Welch and Gortjordan one day, that's Mick's father. He asked us for the change of tenner, but he gave us the tenner first, and we took off. He went berserk. And I remember another time up in Lincoln with out at Mummers, and we were starving to hunger. And it was in Henley's house. And we were going around dancing with big old coats, and it was kind of raining the same day. And we were swinging around, and there was another lad playing a bit of laugh, Lord rest him was in it, and we had a mouth organ and a Jew harp. And there was 6 or 7 of us in it altogether, and we were swinging. And I spotted the big cotton cake, and we stayed. It was about 3 o'clock in the day. So going around one swing anyhow, I brought the cake with me around and into the coat and grand. We finished the dance fairly fast after, like, you know. And we bought a pot of jam and Mordens in Lincoln, and we made pulled chunks out of the cake down at the top of Lincoln there. And that was our meal for the day. But we skipped over that area fairly fast, all right.
Every year with Cannon Healy, there'd be a mission. I remember him coming to the school one time, Cannon Healy. Jack Riley had the hall open to Kilmay, and asked them, were there any of their brothers or sisters, older now, like, were they to dance? Of course, a lot of them were cute enough. No. Especially girls now. He'd have to call to the houses, like. But the master anyhow asked him about something. Well, I can't delay now, he said, because he had to call to 4 houses. So there was girls that happened to go to the dance, and he'd see them.
I remember a mission out here one night, and the missioner was giving out hell. Oh, he was bawling and roaring about sin. And he said that everyone in the church was damned in hell, and we're all for hell. I remember he had us frightened, really. The roaring and shouting at above the altar. And we were all for hell. And then it was a certain woman in there, he said, that was the stuff for them. No, that's the stuff for them, she said. And anyhow, she must be free. But I remember he was bawling and shouting about sin. and everyone was condemned, and they were all for hell. Everyone was for hell. And towards the end of the sermon, he said that there may be a chance. He said, but what we had to do. Oh, the list of prayer and communion and what, and confession once a week. I remember 5 or 6 old women going up the road that night, old Mrs. Brendan Bellabach and Mrs. Laffey, and my mother and a few more old women, and they started rows going up the hill there. You know, after an hour of this other thing going on. Oh, stop.
Do you work that time for young lads? Between the beat and the bog and the hay and the corn?
Plenty of money in the evening.
Or you look like you got a slice of bread and jam. Well, now right enough,
That's
you would,
the health.
as a rule, you get the good feed. There was 4 of us confirmed one day. I know we went over on the horse and trap. And of course my mother had the currant cake made for a lunch until May. But Dr. Jill Martin, and I don't think I was 6 years when I was confirmed. Now I think to be as much, because it used to be over the 3 years, and Maggie, John, Tommy and myself were confirmed the 1 year. I remember son of Kine, he's in Charlestown presently. I know we're, I think, learning the Stations of the Cross. And I don't know what was wrong. He could never say Jesus stripped of his garments. 'Twas Jesus was stripped of his caravans. I'll think of it forever. As long as ever I remember, I'll think of son of it.
Mr. Waters was here, and he asked the question. Oh, the priest was here. Who made the world? And the Land Commission were working up around Glencarb at the time, and he said, the Land Commission, Father. Waters went furious out of that day. He flaked. Well, we had to go through the whole catechism again for a full fortnight, I remember, you know.
A couple of slices of bread, and it was wrapped up in a piece of newspaper in your school bag and a bottle of milk. And that was your lunch. And you went outside and you eat it outside. There was no shelters that time. There was nothing. You just stood outside. And you stood up there. There was a few large trees there at the time. The old teacher's residence was up here at the time too. We used to sneak up and maybe get in from the rain if it was raining. You know, get shelter. There was no, you'd be out there then for the 25 minutes or half an hour for the dinner, for the lunch, and 10 minutes break in the morning. You came back in again immediately. You were called in. I mean, times has improved for the better.